chapter 24, conclusion on this chapter. Okay, so in this chapter we see Abram doing what the father is supposed to do. It's his job to find a wife for his son. With Ishmael, he didn't do that. Remember, in Ishmael's case, Hagar found a wife for him, an Egyptian. In this case, Abram is doing what he has to do, that is find a wife for his son. So he sends his servant. Abram knew all the promises God gave. Abram knew the time his wife died. Abram knew the time is ready for Isaac to get married, for him to go on. I guess one can ask why didn't he try and find a wife earlier for him, because by now Isaac is basically 40, right? But yeah, I think that's Isaac thing. Anyhow, so this is what he's doing. He's sending his servant. He's making his servant promise that he's telling his servant that God will go with him. We see how the servant goes. We see this faith of Abram believing that this will happen. We see as well how he gave the servant an exit clause because the servant's faith was not on the same level as Abram's faith. Therefore, he gave him this exit clause out of this promise. Okay? The servant went. The servant prayed. As the servant was praying, Rebekah came. God answered the prayer in stages, because he could not have known everything will happen immediately. There was lots of things that had to be done before he could know that this is really the one. Okay, so the sign he asked for, giving him water, giving the camels water. Then he gave the presents. Then he asked, and praise God, it is from the right clan, as she had to be as well. Then the next step was, will the family say yes? Will she say yes? How long will they wait? And God answered all those prayers in the perfect way. He could not have asked for a better solution to this problem. We've seen how the servant used psychology to play Laban and basically we saw how Laban and his mother, and actually Bethuel and the father, but he was not really playing that big a role. How they tried to sort of keep her there a bit longer, but ultimately, for their own reasons, ultimately break us with this. Then we saw how she went back. We saw her and Isaac, both Rebekah and Isaac, lifting up their eyes. We know something very important is going to happen here. The provision of the wife. So, some things that we today can learn of this is, I think a very important part is, again, God does miracles, but we have, as Christians, we are on a different levels of faith. Right? Some have more faith because of a longer period of walking with God, of God doing more miracles in their lives, of them trusting God more. Some people are just more trust others more easily. So some people, but then there's some people who just came into the church who haven't experienced these kinds of things yet. So their faith is on a very low level. Your faith might be in a high level. Okay, you might be already the kind that can throw mountains into the sea. Please don't start doing that. I don't think the world's going to be very happy with that. Anyhow, but you might have that kind of a faith already, right? Other person not. Don't expect all Christians to have the exact same faith. Treat others, therefore, on the level they are at. Don't be angry at other Christians for not being able to do these kinds of big miraculous deeds like you. If you are a pastor preaching in church and you want someone to try and make disciples, it will take time for that person to be discipled. You can't expect that person to immediately the next Sunday already come into the pulpit and preach the way you are preaching. He might never do it. He might do it better. But he's not going to do it next Sunday. So you need to, therefore, like Abram did, by giving this servant who had less faith than him this exit clause, you need to treat, therefore, other Christians in the same way. Give them a chance so that their faith can grow to your kind of level, like it did for the servant here. Then that person can achieve more. That is what you need to aim at. And not try to force your will and make everyone exactly with the same kind of faith the next day, because it's not going to work. Because that person is not yours. That person belongs to God. Your task is therefore to use the faith God gave you, the wisdom God gave you in discipling others, so that God, through what you are doing, can bring them up. Okay? yeah, that is just what I think some of the conclusions. Remember always that the people, those people, they don't belong to you. Okay? The servant, Rebecca, they don't belong. They belong ultimately to God. So don't forget that as well. So pastors, I mentioned in the teaching as well, how people can have this idea of that it's there and they need to do something. They need to keep